Hi everyone, so let's look at Bedmas. And Bedmas, what that really is, it's a little acronym, or it's like a saying. You use it to remember how you do your order of operations. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Bedmas is going to tell us the proper order to do our operations. What exactly does that mean? Well, when you do math, there's sort of some key operations you're always going to face. And we've sort of come up with a way with Bedmas to organize them. And you have to follow these Bedmas rules. Okay? So let's explore what Bedmas means. Here we go. B stands for brackets. So whenever you do math, oftentimes you'll see curly brackets, or maybe you'll see square brackets, or round parentheses. Okay? Whenever you do math questions, you're doing arithmetic on them, you always have to look to do the bracketed stuff first. Okay, so I'll show you some examples of that, but you always got to look for brackets first. Next, you're going to look for exponents. So if ever you see 3 to the exponent 2, you would have to do 3 to the exponent 2 before you do, say, an addition. All right, so we're going to have to do exponents second. Next, I'm going to put these together. We're very, very accustomed to seeing divisions or multiplications. And you can always divide with the classic symbol or a slash or the fraction line. And when you multiply, you can do it times, or these brackets can mean multiplication. For instance, let's say you had 3 times 2, right? So that means 3 multiplies 2. Now, the reason I put division and multiplication together, you go after division and multiplication in whatever order it comes first. Okay? If you're doing your math and you're reading it left to right and you see a division first, you do that first. If you're doing your math and you're reading left to right and you see a multiplication first, you'll do that first. And I'll explain that more as we move along with some examples. Lastly, the last thing we do with numbers is addition and subtraction. Okay, so the A and the S. Obviously at this point you're seeing that B-E-D-M-A-S says Bedmas, and it helps us remember the order of operations. Okay? Addition and subtraction, you'll also do left to right. If you see an addition first, you do it first. And then if you see a subtraction first, you'll do it first. So let's show you how we do Bedmas, how it allows us to follow the proper order of operations with a bunch of examples. Okay, so let's do some examples. So it says to evaluate, and you have to use Bedmas. In fact, anytime you do math, you don't have to be told, but you always have to follow this order of operations. Brackets first, then look for exponents, do division and multiplication, whatever order they come in, okay? And then addition, subtraction, whatever order they come in. Let's take a look at example 1. So it says -4, and it's in brackets. And then it says to add -2, which multiplies 3. Okay, so we see some brackets. Now in those brackets, though, there's nothing happening. It's just -4. There's no multiplication, there's no exponent. So really, that has no effect. Let's just write this as -4. Okay, next up, we see an addition, and then there's 2 brackets. Now these 2 brackets, they're involved in a multiplication. It's -2 times 3. So if we follow Bedmas, we see some brackets, there's no exponents, there's no division, but there's a multiplication. So we're going to have to do this multiplication right now. Okay? So before we can do the addition, let's bring it down, we first have to work out this multiplication. All right, well, what's 2 times 3? 6. And then if this is negative, they're opposites. So this is -6. Okay? So this multiplication results in -6. Then we look for Bedmas again. We're on our new line of math. And we got to look left to right. Okay, it says -4 plus or minus 6. Well, we remember from the last lesson that plus with minus is really a subtraction. So all we have here is -4 take away 6, which we know to be -10. All right, in this second example, again, we're going to have to watch for Bedmas. And let's start by looking at what we see. First off, I see brackets around -3 and more brackets around a 7. So I see that that's a multiplication. So yes, there's brackets. There's no exponents. there's no division right away, and we right away see a multiplication. So you'll have to do that first. You can actually ignore this division. You have to start by this multiplication. That's the first thing you see when you look left to right. So 3 times 7 is 21, but with the negative, it's negative 21. Okay? Then carry down what's left to do. You're supposed to divide by minus 1. Really, it's the only step that's left. Let's still do a Bedmas check. All right, as we look across this, there is a bracket here on minus 1, but nothing's happening inside there. There's no exponents. Okay, we look for brackets, exponents. Then we see it's time to do a division. Okay, we read left to right, and there's just one operation, division. And then it's pretty easy. Minus divided by minus will result in a positive. Okay, two like signs make for positive. And 21 divided by 1 is just 1. So this is really just 1. Okay, this third example, let's take a close look. Okay, so we see, well, there's brackets. And out front, it says negative 6. And this means it multiplies what's inside those brackets. Now we're definitely going to have to do this Bedmas thing. So what happens is you look at these brackets, the B from Bedmas, and are there any exponents in there? No. Okay, keep looking. Next, is there a division or a multiplication in here? No. It says minus 11, take away 3. So what that really is there's no addition, but there's a subtraction. So in these brackets, we made all the way through, and we realize there's just a subtraction. You have to do that first. So you leave the minus 6 here. You can even leave the bracket. Just let the bell go there. So minus 11, take away 3, it'd be like you're down 14 things, or negative 14. Okay? So now we can see the only operation that's left is negative 6 multiplying negative 14. So we can work out our signs. We know that that's going to result in a positive, and then you just do 6 times 14. Okay, let's try a little more complicated one. So example 4 has square brackets. Within these square brackets, there are round brackets, okay, or we call them parentheses. So the way you attack this is that always left to right, and then we're going to look for the Bedmas operation. And first thing's brackets. So there's the first set of square brackets, okay? We have to go inside these square brackets and look for the next operation. So once we're in here, now what do we see? Okay, we see 2 more brackets, but they're just holding numbers, 2 and 9. And these 2 brackets, 2 and 9, they just mean that they're multiplying each other. So as we jumped into these big square brackets, we already are down to, there's no exponent, there's no division, but there's a multiplication right here. And that's the first thing you need to do. So you carry your square bracket down, you carry the 4 down, and you do this multiplication. 2 times 9 is 18, but it becomes minus 18. Okay? Next, there's another square bracket, and we're going to have to work that out. So let's look inside this square bracket. Okay? We have to get the result of this square bracket. We do not do this multiplication yet until we're done dealing with this square bracket. So inside here, we look inside, and we see it's 12, divides, and then there's another bracket. So here's an error you want to avoid. You don't want to do 12 divided by 6, because that's not what it says to do. It says you have to do these brackets first. So you're inside these square brackets, and now you have to tackle these smaller round brackets. And there it says 6 take away 2, which we know to be 4. Okay? Finally, you can drop down this 12 and the divide symbol, and you'll be able to solve the bigger brackets. Okay? Let's go back to the new equal sign here on the left and continue on. Okay? So remember these first square brackets? They've now been reduced to one operation in there, 4 take away 18. And you can use your calculator if you're still not comfortable with that, or number line. Okay, so 4 subtract 18 minus 14. Okay, so minus 14, and it's still in the square bracket. The other square bracket is 12 divided by 4. It's the only operation in there now, which is 3. Okay. Now, you can finally multiply because when these two square brackets meet, they really mean to multiply each other. So what you want to do is 14 times 3. Gives 42. Watch your signs though, they're opposites, so this is negative 42. Okay, example 5 here. So it's a pretty big example. So I wrote Bedmas out here because I've always got that in the back of my mind. First thing I need to look for is brackets. And there I see the square brackets. Okay? Inside those square brackets, yes, there are two other sets of brackets, but I've realized that that's just multiplication. So let's get inside these square brackets and go left to right. What's the first thing here I see? I see 5 times 2. That's the first operation I need to do. So here's how you show it. We're not going to deal with the minus 100 and this division until we fix this square bracket. So 5 times 2 is 10. Okay? After I've taken care of that, then I see it's subtract 2 times minus 5. So I first need to do, we'll check Bedmas. I'm in the bracket, there's no exponents, there's no division. I need to do this multiplication. So I'm going to subtract 2 times minus 5. Or I can be smart about this. I know minus 2 times minus 5, well, that's 2 negatives will make for a positive. And 2 times 5 is 10. Okay. Next, I do a new line. And again, I check Bedmas. All right, I still see these brackets. I'm not done. I have to clean up these brackets first. It's the first thing in Bedmas. So in these brackets, pretty easy. There's one operation, 10 plus 10. So you have to keep this here to tackle later, and you have to do 10 plus 10, which we know is 20. And finally, we're down to a single operation. We have negative 100 divided by positive 20. And if you had 100 things and you divided them up 20 ways, you'd have 5. And with opposite signs, you end up with minus 5. Okay, let's do one last example here in example 6. First, pause the video. You try this. Use Bedmas. Work it out, the order of operations you think needs to be used. Then I'll do it, and we'll see if we get the same answer. And you'll see just how important Bedmas is, because if you don't follow it, you'll never get the right answer. I'm still waiting. Did you pause? Make sure you pause and try this. Okay, rewrite out example 6. Leave your attempt alone, and then you'll compare what you did to what Mr. Q just showed you here. All right, so we've got a long expression here. We see there's some parentheses, divisions, watch for signs. Okay, so let's check Bedmas. Brackets. All right, look for brackets that have like actual operations in them. Brackets that contain like this negative for 460, it just means it's negative 460, so there's no operation. Same thing over here. It's just minus 46. All right, so we realize brackets are not really telling us to start with something here. They're just containing negative signs. Let's look for exponents. Okay, sometimes you can write Bedmas out with checklists too, if it helps you. All right, I don't see any exponents. I'd be looking for like 6 to the exponent 3. I don't see any exponents. Next up, I'm looking for division. As I read left to right, there's a division. I have to do that first. Okay, minus 460 divided by 46. Well, I've got a negative divided by a positive, so that's going to result in a negative. And negative 460 divided by 46 ultimately becomes 10. Okay? Continue looking left to right. Then I see I'm going to have to add, but I can't do that yet, because over here, I first have another division. So I will add later, but first I have to tackle this division. And here I recognize a positive 460 divided by a negative 46. So that's going to result in a negative. Okay? A couple ways. You can put brackets. You can add your own if you want. And you know it's going to be negative. So what's 460 divided by 46? Well, again, 10. Okay? So now go back to the start a new line, and let's again look left to right. I see there's a negative 10, and I'm adding it with another negative 10. All right, well, we learned earlier that these two signs, if they're opposites, they just combine to become a negative. So all I'm doing now is negative 10, take away 10, because all this just becomes one sign. And if you're taking away two 10s, which is what negative means, take away 10, take away another 10, you're taking away 20, or you can think of it as down 20. Final answer is negative 20.